Say, we have LUFIA versus NICERSMICER, kicking things off with Ongyukiban and Volantis.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I guess both players looked at the player profile, seeing like, okay, your most picked unit, it is out. Let's go from there. We have the first pick to NICERSMICER. Is he going to go for a speed lead? No, actually goes for that Shizuka. Still one of his comfortable picks. Definitely do want to see if NICERSMICER is going to go for that Smicer or that Sierra. LUFIA, are you going to go contesting the speed lead? Are we still going to go into speed leads right there? But also, maybe the Bella once again? Or do we go some more of an AoE CC / AoE strip route? All of those potential possibilities are there with that opening of a Shizuka.
Yeah,
actually goes completely...
Pulled it up with the Raccoony, right? But it's also, you've got to think about it. This first game as well, you're still testing the waters, right? You're seeing what the other person's thinking. LUFIA took some time there, like we were speaking earlier, didn't jump into anything. Now NICERSMICER, what's he going to respond with, say?
Yeah, going for a more in this case, you could say like, okay, I'm gonna match your bruisering style because LUFIA is showing bruisering already. We're actually going back and forth between saying like, okay, I kind of want to turn 1, but I also kind of want to turn 2. However, that Vert could also be swift and outspeeding the whole battlefield right here. How do you answer that? I would definitely say that something along the lines of a Hey Gang would be very strong on the side of LUFIA too. I would also probably say that LUFIA will go for that Bella because the Bella will probably move in front of the Raccoony. Raccoony can boost it up one more time and do heavy damage on that unit. But you can also definitely do that with a Han. And goes for the Cigar.
Yeah, Han and the Cigar. Huh, interesting, right? Because now NICERSMICER is in a bit of a situation where he's probably not going to be going first, right?
Well, the interesting thing is, picking a Cigar into a Verdehile is kind of dangerous. I do understand the Cigar, it's mainly against that Shizuka right there, but I would say that there's other ways to probably deal with it. And we see the Smicer. Is it going to be picked up with that Sierra as well? It's going to be picked up with that Masha. Very interesting to see. Smicer, unit we don't see too much, has the bomb on the skill 2, has a stun on the skill 2, but also is going to silence on that skill 3. And that silence is going to be interesting because it's also being picked up by that Shizuka, same as that bomb, same as that stun. So there's a lot of things to be picking up for that Shizuka and might actually be a ban right here. Other hand side, a Juno would very much be fitting, I would say, for LUFIA, but there's a lot of options that are also fitting. And actually, interestingly enough, goes for the Suiki once again. So I would say that we're signaling a ban on that Smicer. Other hand, probably a ban on the Raccoony. Kind of removing the sustain, the cleanses, those kind of possibilities. Actually, I was completely wrong. And it is the Shizuka and the Cigar, which actually counter out each other as well if they were both on the field.
Wow, speed leads, and here we are, NICERSMICER versus LUFIA. Match 1 of the semi-finals, set 1. It's Vanessa.
Vanessa, and Vanessa actually moving into Han. So, do you go for that? Marsha does not land the armor break. However, our Han has a lot of damage potential. Do we have armor break early on? Armor break on the first hit, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of damage actually goes for that procer. And that's going to be a dismounted Marsha right from the get-go.
Oh!
Wait, it took a full turn? I thought it took a full turn. Okay, Han is just showing a lot of things. I have been placing Han very high on tier lists before. People have been questioning, why is Han that good? Well, there is so much single damage potential for that unit Han right there. Let's see how that revolves around, because the damage potential is kind of gone. We do have that silence coming in. We can potentially stun and bomb that Han, but is it going to be enough with the cycling of the Verdehile?
Does land it though, say, got the bomb away.
We definitely have the bomb away, but we also have a Raccoony on the enemy side. So in this case, I definitely do think that the Suiki has to start picking up pace, where the Han did a very well first turn. But let's see if that's actually possible with all of the cycling that a Verdehile plus a Smicer can potentially do.
Yeah, Smicer's putting a lot of silences on the other side of the field as well, right, say?
Yeah, that's a lot of silences, a lot of bombs, a lot of everything going around. I do think that Raccoony doesn't really care too much about it, but it really depends of how do you manipulate the HP bars of the enemy side. Because the Raccoony only tends to cleanse. Ooh, so much damage on the Verdehile potentially. Almost just a 16k. Ooh. That's a very tanky Verdehile. Once again, very well runed units by both of these players, being able to do so much damage but also surviving so much of that health. However, currently, you do not really have the luxury of saying like, okay, I can kind of control the Han in a certain way. You actually have to start killing it. But do you have enough damage right now to kill it? Does have enough damage, and that silence is a hard counter to Vanessa. Completely forgot about that. Oblivion doesn't work on Vanessa, but Smicer, the silence, that is actually what works on Vanessa. So definitely a unit that is very high value, very high potential, and a desirable outcome for NICERSMICER in this case. Question is, can we get rid of that Verdehile? Because that is the potential that Lufia needs to make this comeback.
It is. Raccooni's going to be taking a turn here, deciding to use it on himself to get the speed buff. Verd's going next, though.
He was trying to get that healing in where the possibility was that the other unit, the SWC, yes, that's the one I'm looking for. The SWC was actually gonna be healed and therefore cleansed, bomb removed. But in this case, there is none of that. Interestingly enough, I think there's still Vanessa passive right now. If SWC procs right now, ooh, that SWC proc right there with an armor break on that Ryu, with the potential damage on that Verdehile, would have probably leveled the playing field right there and then, but didn't happen as of this case. And in this case, I think we're gonna say goodbye to the SWC because it's going to die. It doesn't die, but can you kill it on this hit? No, you can't, but there's going to be enough cycling with that Verd. Verd is potentially going for the killer here. Does go for the killer. We do not have the silence yet. SWC, how much damage can you do?
No, nope. He's got...
Nope. SWC decides, like, sorry, I also have to leave the battlefield. This is the end of the line. This is my 0 HP moment. And that is going to be a win. The turnaround for NICERSMICER.
Wow, NICERSMICER. Smicer came into huge effect right there, right? Especially with that silence on the Vanessa.
Yeah, that silence on the Vanessa was a huge play, and that's definitely also one of those interactions. Pretty much no one really plays Smicer, so you're not really too familiar of playing into Smicer. And at some point you realize, like, oh, I have that revive. Wait, what? No, I don't. It was silenced.
Yeah.
And that was very well played by Smicer right there.
Exactly. It's one of those things you can also just forget, right? Like, you're playing and you don't usually see that interaction a lot, and then when it does happen, Smicer, as his namesake, will we see it again?
I am definitely not sure. Like, fool me once, but can you fool me twice? Let's see how that happens. We also have different pre-bans. We have that Onyuki being potentially on the field. We have that Volantis being potentially on the field. Both of the units signaling a lot of speed. Do we therefore also respect maybe the speed lead bans? Maybe other units that have showed a lot of speed potential on the bans? Or do we actually go for those kind of things of like the Raccooni ban, this Shizuka ban? Because those units were banned as a post-ban in the last round. Often those signal that say like, okay, might be useful for pre-bans. In this case, we do respect speed units in both cases. We have the AoE stripper on the right side, the Elena, and on the left side we have that Vanessa speed lead being banned. First pick to Lufia.
Who is Lufia going to decide? Is it going to go back to his traditional Han, which played so well against Ismo? And it did some crazy stuff on the first round in the first match.
Yeah, definitely. That Han did so much damage. It pretty much deleted the Masha straight off the field, but actually decides to go still that speed game. We have that Oliver in there, and there's a lot less speed units on the field right now because that Vanessa is no longer possible. However, I'm not too sure if NICERSMICER picks up a lot of Vanessa. He likes more on that, more also known as the Water Ryu, and he goes for the Raccooni in return in this case. Lufia, how do you answer to a Raccooni?
Yeah, it seems like he's probably stolen the Raccooni, but probably was using it, if I remember correctly, pretty well also in the previous match with Livet. So it's one of those units where, yeah, you might feel like you're stealing, but also if you've got it runed up well enough, it's going to be very effective, as Lufia is going to be locking in, looks like a Shizuka, and taking his time on that last pick for his famous Han.
Yeah, definitely going for that Han. And actually, NICERSMICER is known on ladder to be picking a lot of Raccooni. It's one of his most picked units, so definitely a unit that is both a steal but also a comfortable pick. NICERSMICER, how do you answer to this? Something along the lines of an Athena is definitely very strong right here. You could go for a Sekhmet as well, and that Volantis for showing like, okay, I want to play speeds.
Yeah, Sekhmet and Volantis being locked in straight away by NICERSMICER. He was pre-banned in the last set, so now he's been able to use it, like you mentioned before. How do you think Lufia is going to answer with that?
I can only say one thing, and that is a Juno. But Juno with what? That is my big question. That is definitely how I would answer this. Is Lufia per se now going to do the same thing? I'm not entirely sure. You kind of have to maybe go for a second speed lead and then that Juno, or Juno with another passive unit. We definitely have the Juno in there, and then we go for another speed lead. We go for that Onyuki that is available right now as well. Technically a passive unit, but not the one I was maybe thinking about myself in this case. Other side, NICERSMICER. Maybe you want to go for a speed lead. You only show one speed lead on the field right now, which is probably going to be outspeed by both at Han, but no, actually goes for another CC unit in the form of Sagar. Bans, I would say Raccooni and Juno are definitely high value bans. I would also say that Shizuka has the potential to completely flip the map, but there's two resetters on the field. So I would give the value towards the Juno, and the Raccooni, I think it's just always a devastating thing to leave on the field. It can heal, it can cleanse, it is just there, it's hard to kill, it's 100 resistance. Can we see it on the field today?
Yes,
we're going to respect that Shizuka, so there's less potential for that full outspeed, and we have that Juno gone off the field.
Here we go then. We're going into set 2. Is this going to be an extension of his lead for NICERSMICER as Han is moving first?
We have Han moving first and the Oniyuki moving right after. You could tumble in the damage into that Rakuni that has no armor break, but it's going to Nemesis, and it's 100% going to be enough Nemesising to the part where it would take a turn cleanse of that armor break, so therefore decides to go for the Cigar and nearly killing that Cigar straight off the get-go. Can you do enough damage to the Cigar? If you go for skill 2 right now, once again, Rakuni might move, more will move, a lot of units will move, but I think you're by the sliver of health. You're not gonna kill it. Went for that pushback on that Rakuni potentially, but NICERSMICER, once again, we can see it, all of those players, very good runes, the unit survives. But can we go for the turnaround? Is there enough damage on the side of NICERSMICER? Because we see a lot of damage on the side of LUFIA. But the side of NICERSMICER are more of those units of all saying like, okay, I'm the setup, I'm the support, I'm also setup, more setups. They can do quite a lot of damage over time, but is that enough damage that we can see right here?
Go for Volantis, eh? Lands 3.
Lands 3, but does not land one very important one. Does have the Cigar to go for the backup, and that provoke right there. Can we get some more stunners over here? Do not get stunners because it's a bio more. A lot of damage coming from this skill 2, maybe potential some stunners, no stunners, but that is actually a lot of damage. So the setup is the damage here as well. What can we see on the side of LUFIA? Because the Draconi is like, I'll take one turn, I'll take another turn, I boost up myself. And what was a Cigar that didn't have that much HP suddenly has a lot of HP. But we have that Despair, Oliver coming in clutch, definitely something he needed right now. Technically you want to go for skill 1, armor break, skill 2, would be the highest value they can take right now. It's going to take the chance as well, but couldn't get it at that position.
Oh, and Moore's going to be taking out one of units at least, and Han looks like he's pretty much gone as well.
Yeah, that Bioproc definitely sealed the deal for Han as well. Oliver can take a turn, but it is Despair, so it cannot go into many cycling. You kind of have to stun the Rakuni maybe, but I think the deal is kind of sealed right now. We have the skill 2 coming up. You can probably revive the Ongyuki, start doing a little bit of damage across the board, but it's not going to be enough in the side of LUFIA. Decides to go for the Han. Skill 3 not available because of that recent change to Shizuka.
And here we go. He does get the stun on Volantis, but realistically now provoking. It's going to be over for LUFIA. How do you think he reacts now coming into the third set, the decisive set? Because Shizuka's a little bit off of skill 3, if I remember.
Yeah, Shizuka's still going to take quite a while off the skill 3, that's definitely for sure. And we have the win to NICERSMICER with a 2-0. LUFIA really has to think about, like, okay, that third match, both ways of drafting did not really work out. Do you maybe have to switch something up? NICERSMICER shows a nice variety of going between Bruiser, then going to first turn. He can play both of two worlds, because in this case, it was like, okay, LUFIA, you have all of the damage in the world, but you don't have that stripper to actually set up that armor break or get for those stuns and actually get the proper damage in that way. Okay. So maybe LUFIA has to go for, like, okay, maybe pick up a Chiwu, maybe pick up that Morph, maybe pick up any of the AoE strippers, and that way actually enable that your damage teams like the Ongyuki, like the Han, can deal that much damage that you would like to have.
Exactly. We've just seen, we've gone back to the first round pre-ban with the Ongyuki and the Volantis again. And NICERSMICER, same reaction again. Shizuka first pick.
Yeah, Shizuka first pick, definitely a comfortable pick right here. In the first match, if I'm not mistaken, we had something along the lines of a Moore and a Rakuni, or an Oliver and a Rakuni. Definitely something that we could see here. The Rakuni is definitely contested by these two players. But I think LUFIA can also definitely contest it by just going pure on the damage, outspeeds, and that Vanessa in there.
Vanessa and a Han. His favourite unit is being played in pretty much every single set. But NICERSMICER seems to have an answer for it every single time. And now he's going to try and answer again with a Rakuni. Who do you think he follows up with?
In this case, it's kind of open. You can kind of draft everything because not too much of the battlefield has been shown yet. We don't know all the rules to this match yet, simply because there's still so many open units there. Go for an Abellio there is slightly early, but it's definitely a good counter towards a lot of the things that LUFIA might play. But in this case, for LUFIA, if you go AoE strip right now with a Cigar, or AoE strip with a Chunk Pong, or AoE strip with, or even Chunk Pong plus Cigar, are definitely all kinds of units that would kind of seal the deal for that Abellio and Shizuka not getting any useful turn-off. But you still have to deal with that Rakuni. So therefore, the Rakuni on the side of Smicer is definitely a useful unit in there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's actually, I think, the first time today we've seen a Abellio. So that's another unit to add to our Europe Cup scene. And he goes for the Cigar, but with the Bella, his reliable unit.
Yeah, Bella, interesting enough, very well used against Ismo. Hasn't seen too much playtime right here, but definitely how do you counter all of those units? It's simply more passive. So you add in the Vertihile, definitely does work. You could potentially also say like, okay, I want to go for a little bit more immunity. However, you do have 2 single target strippers in the Cigar and the Bella, but it is difficult to keep everything stripped at base. So I probably expect another support slash... Okay, passive unit, but not necessarily the one I expected, because we have seen the Masha being pretty much deleted off the field simply just by that Han. It is somewhat protected right now by that Abellio, but that might be the focus of the ban as well. Really depends on what Lufia brings as the 5th pick right now. Could you go for another snipe unit? Could you go for maybe a Suiki? Because that's pretty strong on the field if you ban that Abellio. Does go for a water unit, but it goes in the sense of like, okay, I want to have a little bit more sustain. I add in the Praha.
Yeah, exactly. Praha is the last pick from Lufia here, and we're going to be going into the bans right now. So who do you think? Do you ban out the Praha as the last pick, or are you too scared of Han now?
I would say that the Abellio ban is definitely favorable, and on the other side, you could go for the Han or the Bella ban, but banning that Praha definitely seems favorable as well. I think the Cigar and the Finesse are not really too much feared on the side for Smicer at all. We do actually go for a Cigar ban, interestingly enough, but Cigar is actually also the main unit that's countering the Shizuka, and Shizuka is also off the field. So in this case, it's going to be very hard to kill anything because of the Abellio. 3rd round, the NICERSMICER, Lufia. Let's see what we can do.
Oh, the defense break is there, say.
Defense break is there, but that is definitely going to dismount the unit straight off the get-go. However, I would say that this match seems favorable for Lufia right now. We definitely haven't seen everything to it. Decides not to go for the skill 3. Pretty interesting choice, I would say, because with the skill 3, you actually had the potential to kill it right away. In this case, I'm not too sure if that is the right play, because it's gonna take a while for your units to fully take turns again.
It is, and you saw that Han is provoked as well, and now Verd's going with the boost up.
Yeah, with the boost up, that boost up was mainly to have more cycling on the team. The moment that the Marsha gets one of the skills off, you have one of the units, or you have the Marsha on immunity. That's definitely what you want to see. Can be stripped here at this moment as well, but Lufia is definitely aiming for as well. And therefore we can have the Daydream. Interestingly enough, you could decide for the Marsha skill 2 to not instantly go for it. It is the armor break, it's gonna stick for a little while, but it was fully healed by that Praha. So currently we're kind of on the start of the battlefield, but the Marsha's taking quite some hits already, and we have that Bella moving in pretty soon with a lot of damage, probably once again tumbling down that Marsha.
Yeah, let's see how much damage Bella actually does do in the end with the burst. Kind of 5k on the first hits, and I couldn't quite see the other hits, but she's pretty much dismounted. Yeah. Yeah,
she's definitely dismounted, but also keep in mind, the Han has to be stunned right here, because the Han has the skill 3. Han skill 3, once again, can do a lot of damage. You could decide...
Oh! Commentator curse!
That's not a commentator curse. Actually, the chance of a skill 1 stunning is reasonably high. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's above 50, so definitely something that you do want to see at that moment, just to control that one unit. However, on NICERSMICER's side, you're kind of on the back foot right now. Your units are getting so much damage down. And sure, the Vert is moving pretty soon, but I'm not really sure. This is some powerhouse Lufia. Once again, he's picking up that Bella, and that Bella is really favorable for him. Doing so much damage, so much work on those pushbacks. And that's giving him the wins, or it gave him the wins against Ismo, and it's definitely going to give him the win. Or potential very good win. We're not there yet, because we still have NICERSMICER with 3 units on the field, but we have that Han on the skill 3. Are you going to go for the Raccoon, or are you attempted to kill that Abellio?
Oh, it's tough now to see. He is going to go for a belly up. Clean out. Clean out, sir.
These guys have incredible good runes. The Han is one of those units shines so much by good rune quality. Once again, the Bella also shines with so much with good rune quality. And Lufia is definitely saying like, okay, these are my favorable units. I like these units. Why do they work? They work because of crazy good rune quality. It's these artifacts, it's these runes. These guys are farming, and that's definitely a very nice looking favorable match for Lufia right now. We have 2 units on the field for our NICERSMICER, but I don't really see them coming back because there's just too much damage on the side of Lufia at this moment.
Yeah, this damage is only going to get more as well now as we're going into a bit of a later phase of the game. Raccooni's he's trying to answer back though, say.
Yeah, Raccoon is trying, but Raccoon is really trying like, okay, I can be the support, I can heal us, and you have to do, like Verdale, you have to do the damage, you have to start killing things. And then Pra's on the field saying like, okay, you can do some healing, I can do some healing, we have that speed buff, my units actually have speed scaling because of additional damage artifact, do even more damage, and that is the victory for Lufia.
Wow.
2-1.
Brings it back 2-1, sir. I mean, that's why it's nice that we have the best of fives here, right? You can learn in the first two matches and try and take it forward into those next ones. Like you mentioned, Bella. Bella came into good effect there for LUFIA. Do you think he needs to keep drafting that?
I definitely would recommend LUFIA to keep drafting that, but also on the other hand, NICERSMICER, I would definitely ban out that unit, because that unit has shown some... Like, the Han is dangerous, the Onyuki is somewhat dangerous, but that Bella is just doing so much work, it's so much cycling, it's so much damage, it's just time and time again. Every turn that a Bella has is just impactful, whereas a lot of other units, you get a turn, but every other turn it's kind of a down turn. In this case, we have Vanessa being respected and also the Shizuka being banned.
Here we go then. So LUFIA is going to be getting the first pick here on this side. Does he stick back with his Han? Seems to have gone through every single match for the speed lead. Or is he going to change it up? Yep, takes the Water Ryu. Yeah,
interestingly enough, both pre-bans right now are exactly the units that both players like to pick as first pick. So definitely respecting those first picks on the field. And NICERSMICER is going on the pace of saying like, okay, we're going speeds, we're going heavy base speed units with that Shizuka in there. Or not the Shizuka, the Sekhmet in there with the Oliver. We have that more in there. Is LUFIA going somewhat on, in this case you could say like, okay, I go somewhat slower, turn 2, doesn't represent it, but you could definitely go for Raccoon and Juno. You might just also say like, okay, we still go for the Raccoon, and then we later maybe add in that Bella to it.
Yeah, hoping to maybe pivot, or to be able to pivot later, right? He's going to have 2 picks at the end, whereas NICERSMICER gets that last 1 pick. And if you draft him well, you already kind of know that your last opponent's pick you want to ban anyway, right, sir?
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's very nice as a drafting strategy to say like, okay, I can definitely play against those 4 units on the field, but I want to ban out that 5th unit. Whatever he brings, I'll just ban it, unless it's even a worse unit than whatever's on the field already. We do have that Valantis being picked up and that Abellio. I definitely would say Juno. Juno's 100%. The Abellio is somewhat difficult for the Juno, but the other 3 units is definitely something that you can Juno into. Other units that could potentially be is very strong on like a Masha, a Mei Wang. Like I'm really looking at those fire bruisers right now that LUFIA can pick up, or just simply go for that Bella that has been shown a lot of potential.
Yeah, do you need to now rely on the things that have worked in the previous match? It is still the deciding set, so if NICERSMICER does win this, he is going to be going through, but LUFIA responds with Ongyuki and Bella.
Goes for the double LDs. I'm not too sure about the Ongyuki. It hasn't shown that much. I do know that LUFIA really likes to use that unit. Season 24, Season 25, most picked unit. But it is currently not as great as it was in those 2 seasons, like the last 2 seasons before this. So therefore, I'm not too sure about this pick. I definitely do like that Bella in here. And we actually go for a Sion unit. We haven't seen too much, but that shows, okay, you do not have enough strippers. You have to deal with all of my units, and the Sion is most likely a must ban. If you don't ban it, it is going to be devastation for him. On the other hand, actually you're kind of free to ban anything, but most likely signaling into that Raccoon.
Let's see if it actually does go through them, right? It goes for the Sion and the Raccoon.
Yeah, in this case, well, both of them kind of have to interact with each other. If one of the 2 was on the field, it was more devastating for the other side. So definitely we have the fight right now. NICERSMICER is somewhat on the back foot of saying like, okay, I will take that first turn on that Sekhmet. Maybe the Valantis moves afterwards, because I expect both speed leads. But the Abellio, how much can you heal? Or on the other side of LUFIA, how much damage can you actually dish out? And funny enough, we don't go for a general speed lead. We go for a Han speed lead. So dark units are faster than the Ryu is right now. So you have that stripper on the field, but it's going to move very late.
Yeah, and here we go. Is Sekhmet going first? Han would be going second and resisted.
That is a absolute huge resist. But the big issue is right now, why is your Han moving in front of your Bella? Bella is the setup, Han is the finisher. In this case, you cannot really do both. If you had that different setup, you would have dropped down that unit to slightly less HP, and you would have been able to kill through it. In this case, I'm not sure if an Ongyuki is going to do enough damage to where you can say like, okay, we instantly remove that unit from the field. That is
Bella,
so much damage. Wow, people have been telling me Bella's not that great, you shouldn't put her that high in a tier list. LUFIA tells you a different story. LUFIA tells you the story of Bella, where Bella on an armor break, 60 to 70% of the unit. First turn, nothing like of cooldowns down, instantly deletes a unit. You have to control that Bella, because that Bella is fireworks.
She is doing so much damage. I mean, she's got glancing right now, and it was huge from Valantis. He's got an answer. Oh!
She got an answer with that proc. However, we do have that Abellio still having the skills up. So even if you drop it down, Right now, it's not gonna do all too much, but even with that glancing, there's just so much damage going on that unit.
Yeah, she is doing so much damage. I think, would you need to target her, or are you just trying to use Oliver to get everyone lower?
I would definitely say start targeting her, because the moment that she's off the battlefield, she's the unit that ignores glancing the most. The moment that she is off the battlefield, you can actually deal with the rest of them. Like the Hound, you can kind of reset. It's kind of okay. But the Bella, every turn is impactful. But NICERSMICER actually still goes for that Han. Let's see how that works out.
Here we go, Water Ryu, skill 2 is available, gets one stun, but straight back from Volantis.
Yeah, definitely stun back from the Volantis. Volantis definitely has to stun the Bella right now. Does not stun the Bella. Bella is available. We do still have that passive from Abellio, but once again, look so much damage. If we S1 proc S2 right now, Oliver might be off the field. Can we do enough damage with those? And is that what LUFIA is going to play for? Goes for the S1, gets the S2. He gets the S2, that is going to be killed. But you can also decide, S2 the Abellio right now, deny that healing. It's more of a risk play, but it might work better in the long run. What is he going to do? Actually does go for the safe play, kills that Oliver, and I would definitely recommend to go for the play every time, because this SWC, it's the highest level. You don't want to risk too much. We have that stun on the Bella. Bella was the one that was needed to do that most amount of damage. Ongyuki, you are glanced. Can you actually do that as well?
Oh my god, Ongyuki's got a chance here. Is he going to be able?
Actually, it goes for the stunner on himself. In this case, Ongyuki is a unit that totally does not care about being stunned. But the Bella is going so low on HP. And Bella is going to leave the battlefield. Ongyuki, you kind of need an S1, S2 potential. Or is this enough damage? This is not enough damage. But we have the S1 procer and it actually kills the Volantis. Abellio against the Rolt.
Oh my god, can Abellio do this?
Abellio technically can do this, but you need that proc to actually kill. I was gonna say, you need the proc to kill that. You need that proc to kill, but on the other hand, we have that damage coming in and it's slightly too slow. Abellio is not on too much speed most of the time. We had that speed lead on that Ongyuki, lapping that turn, getting the victory for LUFIA. What a crazy match.
Oh my god, Sid, that went back and forth so quickly in the last part then. I think my voice went through 7 different decibels. Let's try and keep that one relaxed for the last set being the 5th one in this first semi-final. Remember guys, they are trying to make their way through to the Europe Cup. If they win this match, they're guaranteed to be at the Europe Cup in Paris. The other guy will be seeing them next Saturday for the next round. Oh my god, Sid. I need a break.
Interesting picks throughout. Definitely, I will be seeing something along the pre-blends, what we also seen in the first round and the third round. The Volantis, maybe the Ongyuki, but I would definitely say, like, if I could talk to Smicer right now, NICERSMICER, I would say that Bella. That Bella does so much work, and we have that Bella band. Actually, NICERSMICER at some point noticed it, like, okay, I've been focusing on that Han, but that Bella, ooh, that is dangerous. Like, the Ongyuki, dangerous, but Bella, very dangerous. And a good respect towards that Volantis. NICERSMICER actually decides to steal that Vanessa, whereas LUFIA can maybe pick up the Shizuka that NICERSMICER mostly takes. Or is that even in the repertoire of LUFIA that he likes to play around with that unit or not?
Exactly, LUFIA's got a bit more time to decide now. His Bella's been taken away and we saw just how much damage she was able to do on that first unit right there, just fully deleting a Sekhmet. I think he's going to have to think a little bit longer about what he's going to go for. Does he stick with something of his Raccoony that he had? Does he go for his Han and Shizuka? Yeah. Maybe it's stealing it from NICERSMICER, eh?
Yeah, the Shizuka is kind of a steal, and that's also like a backsteal saying like, okay, you pick my Vanessa, and I definitely do like that Vanessa pickup from NICERSMICER, because that's one of those units that enables everything for LUFIA's draft. NICERSMICER definitely showing a lot of speed potential right there with the Cigar and the Praha. In this case, once again, Raccoony kind of fits, but it's also kind of those saying like, okay, you will take first turn, I'm gonna play turn 2. But we have seen LUFIA in the turn 1 position being way more effective than in the turn 2 position.
Exactly. Is he also then just going to rely now on his Ongyuki again? He's definitely going to be pricking it out there along with the Raccoony.
So going back and forth, saying like, okay, I have a bit of speed, but I also definitely do want to keep that Raccoony in for the sustain. And in the end, Raccoony is never really too much of a wrong pick. NICERSMICER, what do you answer that with? I definitely do like the Woos. I was gonna say there's no strip on the side of LUFIA yet, except for a Shizuka S1. If you were to add 2 units with immunity right now, would be very nice. On the other hand, the second immunity unit is a little bit harder to pick because you have to have something that's, well, a Riley or something doesn't add too much to the draft. However, Miles definitely does add a lot to this draft. going to be a lot of damage, especially Miles Praha combination. You have that speed buff. That's going to do a lot of damage for the Miles on speed scaling. Other side, what could you do? I would definitely say, if you pick a Diana right now, ban the Cigar, your Diana's also banned. That's maybe a way that you could play around with, but a Diana here or an Athena, I think would be very strong picks in general.
You're trying to look to answer that Miles there, right? In the end. Oh, Shan.
Shan, unit we haven't seen yet from Lufia. I do know he has it. Well, therefore we see it. However, that's also signaling I'm going to ban that Wusa because I have no potential strips. I have to play around it. And technically, the CC potential of NICERSMICER is just the Cigar. It's a pushback, maybe a provoke. And then the single target cooltime reset. Lufia saying like, okay, I'm just gonna test the waters on that. I have 3 heavy damage dealers potentially. You cannot CC all of them, right?
Well, let's see, because he's taken out Wusa and Raccoon, and we've got that speed lead from Ham, speed lead from Vanessa. As we go in to the crunch set, this is to get that ticket between NICERSMICER and Lufia.
First turn, going to that Han, potentially has the stun potential on that, or first turn to the Miles has the stun potential on the Han. Exactly, yeah, that the other way around. Can we see armor breaks? No armor break whatsoever. Next unit to move is that Praha.
We do get the defense break as well. Praha coming through, deciding to go into Shan with a proc.
That's a lot of damage, 3k per hit on that armor break. Those are some very good artifacts, and that's actually showing a lot of potential with all of those units being provoked. Cool time increased, and I think we're gonna look at a way faster match than we had for the last two. Han, you kind of need to proc into anything to do anything here. Did not happen.
Here we go then. Cigar with skill 2 available. Probably going to try to use any of his provoke onto Shizuka. Will be moving next. Oh, going instead on Yuki.
Yeah, yeah, she had no skills, and exactly for that reason, you can stay away from the Shizuka for a while. The moment she has the skill 3 up, it's pretty nice, or the skill 2 up, it's pretty nice, but it's still gonna take a while. But Shizuka, that skill 3, that is what you need. And on the other side, we have Daydream, we have that speed buff. Miles is gonna do so much damage for now, but Han says no, wait, let me join this battlefield. I can go for a skill 3, the simple solution. Where are you gonna place it, and how much damage are you going to do?
Exactly, let's see where Han decides. He goes for Vanessa.
Ooh, not a single armor break. There was one armor break, but it was resisted. Then hitting the Miles. Miles apparently is 100 resistance. And we have that Miles with that proc.
Oh, huge. Oh, it's Vanessa now. She's probably going to be taking the turn. Do you try and get rid of Ongyuki, or do you just take the Han?
I think going for the Ongyuki is actually kind of an okay-ish play here. But you have to be careful with that Han at some point, because the moment it starts proccing more on that Vio turns, it's definitely dangerous. But in the end, NICERSMICER knew, like, okay, I had a bunch of units off the field already. The units were not looking too lively, and this is actually a very well clean draft by NICERSMICER and very well played. And we're going to see the victory on his side. He was the 2-0 up. He had to go 2 more rounds, being on the back foot, not really finding his comfortable spots, but now he has that victory. NICERSMICER is going to Paris.
Wow.
He's done it. He's got the golden ticket, the first one.